GamingBolt presents 15 things that you need to know before buying Project Cars 2. Project Cars came out 2 years ago now, in a racing simulation market dominated by the likes of Forza Motorsports and Gran Turismo and so many other franchises vying for that throne. But when it launched, the common consensus was that with Project Cars, Slightly Mad Studios had made something notably good, something that had the potential to grow into so much more if they could work on a few issues and capitalize on its many strengths, of which utmost authenticity was probably the most pronounced. Project Cars 2 is almost here, and it looks like it's aiming to grab hold of everything that was so good about its predecessor and run with it. As such, here in this feature, we're going to look at 15 features, 15 aspects of Project Cars 2 that has us genuinely excited about what the game will be like when we finally get to play it. Frantic racing. The racing action in Project Cars 2 is going to be targeting a certain level of authenticity, but that isn't going to mean a slower paced gameplay. Races in this game are going to be fast and frantic. Rallycross has also been officially confirmed to be featured in Project Cars 2, so the fast and frantic racing is going to be an excellent feature. Difficulty curve. Of course, racing simulators are an acquired taste, catering to a very specific type of audience. These aren't your everyday accessible racers, but rather have a targeted audience. Something that goes hand in hand with that is the fact that it's going to have a bit of a difficulty curve. Mastering every aspect of the gameplay, both on track and off track, will take some time, but if the game does its job and does it well, that is what's going to make the game fun. Over 170 cars. One of Project Cars' flaws that drew its fair share of criticism was a relatively small roster of vehicles. Developer Slightly Mad Studios have taken that criticism to heart, and there's going to be a massive roster of cars and vehicles for players to peruse through. As opposed to the over 70 vehicles in the first game, Project Cars 2 will feature over 170 vehicles. Lots of tracks. Another area that will feature unprecedented variety in Project Cars 2 will be the tracks. Apparently, the upcoming racing sim will have over 50 track locations, and there's going to be multiple track layouts in the game as well. Apparently, it'll be the most of any console racing simulator. That doesn't include something like, say, this year's Dirt 4, which had randomly generated tracks. The tracks in Project Cars 2 will also include well-known rallycross circuits, such as Knock Hill and Daytona. VR. Project Cars 2 is going to get full VR support across a number of platforms. The game's PC version is going to be playable with both Oculus Rift and HTC Vive right from the get-go, while developers Slightly Mad Studios have confirmed that they intend to release a PlayStation VR version of the game soon, with work on it currently underway. Of course, we'd rather have a confirmation for that, but hey, at least we know it will happen. Probably. Top-notch visuals. While Project Cars was by no means a bad-looking game, it had some excellent visual weather effects and great lighting work, it was still dwarfed by its direct competitors. However, it looks like Project Cars 2 is attempting to heighten the sense of authenticity, not just with its gameplay, but with its visuals as well. The game looks much sharper and crisper, and the effects such as weather and time of day now look much more authentic, which brings us to our next point. New systems in place. Project Cars 2 is going to have a completely new system in place that will be dedicated to several significant effects in the game, including things like weather and the time of day. Weather conditions will be in line with what time of year you're racing in, while time of day and its transitions will be seamless. Rain and snow will both have dynamic, real-time, authentic effects on the track and environments, as will other types of weather conditions, adding to even more of the game's authenticity. New snowy tracks. Of course, a byproduct of the weather systems means there will be snowy tracks for players to race in. It will be interesting to see how effectively and efficiently Project Cars 2 handles snow and the effects it can have on driving. Racing through courses and environments covered in snow shall be an absolute treat, both in terms of visuals and the gameplay itself. Multi-class races. Racing is, of course, a class-based affair, and you usually see cars of the same class going up against each other. However, Project Cars 2 will allow players to take part in multi-class races. Want to play a race that includes cars like Porsche, a Mini Cooper, and a Formula 1 vehicle all at the same time? Well, Project Cars 2 lets you do that. That promises to be a great deal of fun. More balanced AI. Players often felt that the artificial intelligence in the original Project Cars was often unfairly skilled and overly aggressive. Its sequel, Project Cars 2, will give players the ability to customize that to suit their needs as well. The game will feature sliders to adjust the skill and aggression of the AI racers, so now you can worry about improving your own level of skill before you get down to worrying about how to beat the best racers in the game. Improved controller gameplay. Project Cars often drew criticism from players for its lackluster controller gameplay, and fans had been hoping that would be something would be fixed in its sequel, and it seems like it will be. For Project Cars 2, Slightly Mad Studios have reworked the controller-based gameplay from the ground up. Of course, that doesn't automatically mean that it will be any better, only that it will be different. But it's definitely a good sign. Improved multiplayer. Like so many other things in this game, multiplayer will see significant improvements over its predecessor. One of the most important ways it will do that will be thanks to the fact that the game will now track what you do online to match you with players across the globe with a similar skill level and racing style. Hopefully, all of this will be done in a swift and efficient manner as well. Racing historic cars. Another feature that will be included in Project Cars 2 will be racing historic cars. The game will feature several vintage vehicles in its massive roster, which means that players will be able to both race in and against these classic, historic, vintage vehicles. That is definitely an exciting prospect, both for automobile aficionados as well as fans of racing simulators. Confirmed enhancements. It has already been confirmed that Project Cars 2 will be receiving support for both the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. In addition to that, while the game is of course playable in 4K on a high-end PC if you have one, Slightly Mad Studios have also confirmed that they're going one step further and adding 12K triple monitor support, just in case you have that kind of setup. Authentic setting. Authenticity has been at the center of what Project Cars 2 is trying to accomplish. We're assuming you've gathered as much already, especially considering the fact that we've mentioned the word several times in this feature ourselves. From everything we've seen so far, it seems to be paying incredible attention to detail to make sure that all of its systems work in tandem to provide a relentless, challenging, and realistic experience. We'll find out if it succeeds soon enough. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.